Alrighty, another day, another stream, and gonna do a live here today. As you can see, the title, China Mac. We're talking about China Mac. Who is China Mac? For people that don't know China Mac, I'll start out by saying I grew up in the inner city and was always into rap music, and that type of stuff. And there used to be a battle rapper named MC Jin. Maybe some people have heard of MC Jin or Jin or whatever you want to call him. And he was a famous rapper, battle rapper. Now, he was really popular at one time. He was on like 106 in Park, BET, those types of things. He, was popular in rap, hip hop, and really for an Asian guy transcended into, a genre that was hard for Asian people, obviously. And China Mac here, a New Yorker, Asian New York guy, Chinese guy, family from Hong Kong, but born in New York, from my understanding. Was a part of gangs, right? He was a gang member and things like that in the past, and you can read all about it here. He was involved in an incident that would change the course of his life. As I mentioned, he went to a place where battle rapper MC Jin, a fellow Chinese American rapper who was making waves in the world of hip hop, and China Mac actually shot one of his friends. He went on the run for a year, and ended up going to jail, to Rikers there in New York, and was in prison. So this guy is a convicted shooter. He has shot someone, and in the rap community, I mean, that's you gang, you got some points there. And I want to start off by saying that the video is not about him, okay, necessarily. It is about him, but it's not about him. I want to start by saying that I do like some of his music. I do think that he's a changed person. I wouldn't say that he's a dangerous guy now. But I find it funny because he has been living in Vietnam. He left America and went to live in Vietnam. And he talks about that in his videos, and very cool, right? To go and live in another country and to be successful. He's very successful now, right? He has a large YouTube channel. He's whatever, right? But what I find it to be funny is he talks about, and he admits this in his video, he talks about it, how he goes to mainland China and he works illegally. He says, I go over on a 10-day visa and I go on tour. He's like, I'm famous over there. I'm on tour. I'm making money. And hey, props to you, man. Definitely, if you can do that, then do that. But here's the kicker for me. China is supposed to be some super safe place where, like, you can't get in. Because he even talks about this in his video. He's like, oh, man, you can't go to China. Like, he was telling his friend, I can't go to China. Like, he knows, right? He knows that because of his record in America, that, like, you can get into places like Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand and, you know what I mean? And even Hong Kong, let's be honest, Hong Kong was the wild, wild east, I guess you could say. And a lot of people from the wild, wild west went to the wild, wild east when they had problems. And China is supposedly not that place, right? Like, supposedly, they always tell you the technology to get into China is so advanced. So advanced. All this technology. We got robots and cars, and you walk in and it scans your face, It's like, okay. if all that is true, if the technology is so advanced, it's so good, then how come China Mac, a famous rapper with 500,000 subs on YouTube, can walk in and he shot somebody, did 10 years in prison, throwing up gang signs. Again, not being critical of that. I'm just saying, how can he do all this stuff and still get into China? You know what I mean? Now keep in mind, he's not originally from China. He's from Hong Kong. Now his family's from Hong Kong. So it's not like he just gets a free card. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, like, there have been people denied entry into China before, and it's just like, you go there to China and you'd think that that's the way that it would be, that everybody, when I lived in China, I knew, so like, there were so many people I had heard of that like were like past criminals and stuff, and they're always like, well, China's so safe, and I'm like, well, how did this dude get in? And how's this dude here, right? And they would be like, well, this dude, he did this and this, and I'm like, how did he get into China then? They just let him in. They just let you walk in. You know what I mean? And this is like evidence of it. This dude is famous. He's really well known, right? This is China Mac. Like, if you follow rap music or anything like that, you've heard of China Mac. He's been on Vlad TV. He's been on different podcasters. Had his own. He had that Crip Mac thing, whatever, where they were making videos for a long time. They were like going to the zoo and stuff, and those videos were taken off before his friend went back. I think his friend went back to prison or something, got in trouble, and it's just that situation of like, damn, this dude got into China after doing all this stuff, and they tell you about how safe and secure China is, and that, like, it just goes to show, right? Like, if you talk about the Chinese government and you expose the Chinese government, you expose China for things that the government doesn't want, they will ban you in a heartbeat. You will never get back in. But you could murder somebody. You could do like 10 years in prison. It don't matter. You could get into China as long as you are not hating on the CCP. That's what it is in China. It's all about, it has always been about the Chinese government. As long as you're not hating on the Chinese government, again, you go to prison for 10 years, you could shoot somebody, you could go and work illegally. He literally mentions how he went on tour. Think about, he didn't just like walk into a building and like fake being some kind of CEO for a foreign company or something. Bro went on tour. He went on tour! He went and did multiple shows as an artist, as a rapper. Bro went on tour. Think about that. He was on stage doing songs. Come on now. China's so safe. It's so smart. Everyone knows everything. And like, they know who you are. Except this dude who shot somebody, did 10 years in prison, and then went into the country and worked illegally by going on tour. And again, I'm not hating on him. Hey, more power to you. If you can get in and you can make. Hey, I am not hating. I just think that it's funny that we hear about how China is so technologically advanced all the time, and how all this stuff is, and how it's a country of laws, and how like all this stuff, but like at the same time, it's like the tomfoolery shit is just hilarious. They talk about how nice the cities are, but then you see people, on these bikes just like carrying huge things down the wrong direction, going down the wrong side of the road, and it's like, you can do shit like that, man, as long as you're not talking about CCP, You could go to China and do whatever you want, right? And they'll still be like, it's safe in China. It's like, is it though? Is it really though? I mean, come on now. But no, I just figured I'd come on. I would talk a little bit about how hilarious how it is in China, in the sense that even he assumed that he would never get into China, right? Because the technology is so advanced, they would know that I tried to murder somebody in the past, and the only reason it didn't work was because the gun jammed. You know what I mean? It's that situation where it gets me. So I always thought it was hilarious. And again, I always tell people that too. China is not like I think that they would like for you to believe that China is as organized, that China is as conformed, that China is as safe, that China is as well built, as they say it is, but it's not. Those buildings, they crumble, really do crumble. Those companies that are put together in one day and last 3 weeks and take all the money from the customers and run that stuff is real. And the reason that it's real is because stuff like this can happen with this guy, right? He can just go into China, on a 10-day visa, considering who he is and what he's done in the past. Again, not that I care what he's done, but to think that he can do that and the government have no idea. Either they have no idea or they don't care, And I'm not sure which one is worse at that point. Probably not caring would be even worse. But I think what we're about to see pretty soon here, he's going to be the next, he's going to be a China shill. He kind of talks about how cool China is and how it changes stuff, how, he goes there and he's famous and all this and that. So I have a feeling we're going to see some shilling. And it's not going to be because he's paid, in my opinion. I don't think it's because he's paid by CCP. I think it's because he falls into that honeymoon period of people that first go to China and they only see the good in China. They don't have to know how to do anything like that. And it's just that situation where you can't tell people that China's safe when you don't even know who's going in, right? You can't tell people China's safe when they're not doing inspections on buildings and things, right? And it just goes to show China's not like you think it is. You would assume people do this weird thing where they assume that because it's a certain way in America or the UK or France or whatever, that they just do that in China, and they don't. They don't do the inspections like they're supposed to. The police aren't actively doing things like they're supposed to. You know what I mean? They're not checking people that enter the country like they're supposed to. You know what I mean? They literally don't know who is in there. And that's the thing, because when immigration is such a huge discussion right now in America, it makes you kind of laugh, because it's hard to believe that, we talk about the hypocrisy of it here in America, right? We talk about how crazy it is to think that maybe some people from Mexico or whatever, not to pick on Mexico, but any country, to think that any country could have people that are dangerous coming to America. It's like a big thing right now, right? It's a big discussion. And whenever you talk to people about it, you're like, oh man, that would never happen in China because it's a communist country. They're so strict, right? But it's not true. It happens in China. It happens in China all the time. It happens right now. You know what I mean? You can't say China is safe because of that. So, but yeah, no, that's my short video, short live. I just want to do like a 15-minute live, kind of talk about some news, Hell, it's 11. I might even stream tonight, do another live tonight. Who knows? Probably do another one tomorrow. And for those people that don't know, just back to work and grinding and making money and things like that, and switch jobs and things like that, and that's kind of why I'm not over on the Free China podcast right now, or the Free China show. I guess it's not a podcast, but Free China show. And but I still want to put out content, and so that's kind of what we're doing here. And I just thought this was some interesting content. A guy that shot someone, went to jail for 10 years, was a gang member, and he goes and works in China illegally, and admits it and talks about it on YouTube, a channel with 500,000 followers, and nothing happens. So, again, not trying to get him in any trouble by any means. Respectfully, if that's what he can do and get away with it, by all means, I guess go right ahead. It's just more evidence for us, anti-CCP people to say, look, this is what's really going on, right? So, but yep, that's all I wanted to say. Short 15-minute video today because, like I said, just picking out a topic, making some discussion with that. Maybe I'll go ahead and be back later, find some more content or something, and talk about it. So I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe if you can. Watch the entire live. Let it play in the background. I need that